Right, we're ready to go now. Finally. So thanks so much for coming on tonight. So I decided, I'll put this one on now, and I'll put another one on in January as well, because I don't know about you, about how things were at the end of, I wonder if you can actually see me, if you can still see me. Somebody want to wave to me if you can see me? Yeah, okay, great, that's okay. If I take myself off, then I can't see you waving, but never mind. We'll get there eventually. So, it's all about, we had ideas as to how 2019 were supposed to end. I certainly had one idea, and lots of things happened this year, but maybe not the way I wanted them to go. And certainly at the beginning of this decade, I wasn't exactly sure what was going to happen, and by gosh, has it been a roller coaster. And I mean, imagine if I asked everybody to put their hands up now and say, was it a roller coaster? It was definitely a roller coaster. So this information tonight, there's going to be some secrets in there, so a notebook is really handy, because I'm going to say things that and repeat them over and over. And it's not for me to tell you what the secret is, it's for you to pick it up. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that Bob does with, Think and Grow Rich in that book, that he literally says, the secret is in there, and everybody's going, what's the secret? What's the secret? And it's just like, well, that defeats the purpose. You've got to read the thing yourself, and you've got to do the growth yourself. And you actually realize different levels of secrets as you go up. So it's really quite an interesting journey. So before we started, I thought I'd let you know about the 4 stages of learning. Now, I love what Bob says, is that sometimes you're either too confident, in which case you're not going to learn anything on this. So you may think, oh, I've learned Bob's stuff before, so I don't really need to listen. This is dead easy. I've got this. Or you're lacking in confidence, and you're actually thinking, oh gosh, this is too much for me. I can't get it. It's about really trying to, finding that balance of just sort of going, being open-minded and keeping that open. And normally in the stages of learning, we talk about unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, etc., etc. I am not going to be that technical, because I'm going to keep this so simple, but understand that everything I say has got real science behind it. Now, we've only got like an hour here, so there's no way that I'm going to get everything out. And I don't even know if I'm going to get through all these slides, but we're going to make a really good attempt, and we'll get some question and answers in after. So the 4 stages of learning, you think, that was me. I thought I knew it all. I'd got all the qualifications. I knew all the answers. I could help everybody else, but something was lacking, So that just makes me laugh when I go, oh my God, I thought I knew it all. And there's me. I was at the first stage of learning. And those people, you've seen them yourself, haven't you? Whenever you've invited them to learn something, they go, no, I know. Well, here's the thing about knowing. If you say that you know something, right, and you stop dead, your brain literally shuts off. So the world then went round a whole 360 degrees. You didn't just stand still. You got left behind. Now, you do that every day. I know. Well, you know where that goes. It doesn't go forward, that's for sure. So the next stage of learning is, I don't think I know. This is whenever you go, oh, maybe I don't know it all. We've all been there. And I love the next one. I don't know. I don't know, But this is my favorite. And this is the place where everybody should be, especially all the people who might be like, who got so much knowledge, who are literally maybe even, CEOs of great companies or whatever. But this is the place you truly want to be. I don't know, and it's all I need to know. It's such, can you see where you go from like being ego driven up here? I know. And down here, just being humble and being open to everything that comes in. That's where I want you to be on this. So if we get to the end of this webinar and you say, I don't know, and it's all I need to know, boom, we're in. That gets me off the hook. I've taught you something. See, even I think I'm funny. So where does this information come from? So let me just tell you a little bit about here. So this is Andrew Carnegie, and he was the richest man in his day, like, in the early 1900s. And he decided to ask this guy, Napoleon Hill, to go off and research for 20 years with no pay to find out who were the most rich and successful and what made them rich and successful. Now, that's where the book Think and Grow Rich came from. So then you've got Earl Nightingale, who picked up on that. And then Earl Nightingale actually mentored Bob Proctor. And Bob Proctor is now mentoring me. So just to let you know where this information is coming from, it is from this lineage. You can't get a better lineage. And if you think, oh, well, this is so simple, this is what makes people rich. Now, what is rich? Whatever it means to you. It could mean money. It could mean family being around you. It could mean absolutely anything. But this is what the most successful people do. So that got the book Think and Grow Rich. But there was another book, actually, that Napoleon Hill wrote. And if you haven't read it, it was called Outwitting the Devil. So Think and Grow Rich was about, it was 25,000 people that he interviewed. And 500 of those were the successful ones. And they are the ones who are in Think and Grow Rich. And there's 13 principles in there. And yes, there's a secret in there. So, get reading that. And but the other one is...
Oh, you merle, no? It wasn't that.
Oh, there's Metty back on again. There you go. And Outwitting the Devil. And that's the other 24,500 people. And it is such an interesting book. You will find yourself in there. And I'm not saying you're the devil. And it's not really about the devil. It's just read the book and then you'll literally understand everything there. Okay, so what results did Bob Proctor get? The reason I'm giving you this background is because I want you to pay attention to what seems simple as we go forward, as to what results it gets. It is really key to understand that this stuff is completely different from any other material that you will ever use. So Bob Proctor, HHW means happy, healthy, wealthy. So he had $4,000 that he was earning and he owed $6,000, right? When he started this, he was 26 and he found himself in a bar. He was literally having his pint. This isn't a pint, by the way. He was having his pint and he looked around and he saw, God, they're all bums in here. And then he went, oh, that means I must be as well. So he put his pint down and he left and he never went back. And do you know what? Nobody ever asked him where he went. Nobody ever chased him up. So that says you one thing. Within 3 years, at the end of the first year, he'd actually earned 175,000. And after 3 years, he was on $1 million. Now, that's 60 years ago. What the heck happened? What was it that Bob actually did? Okay, so that's what the basis of this information is from. And basically, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them. Isn't it so? Like, we literally keep looking and looking and looking at our problem. Now, let me tell you, if you keep doing that, so say if you do I'm not knocking therapy or anything like that. This is a whole new way of thinking. This will either resonate with you or it will not resonate with you. But if you think about talking over a problem for 2 hours is going to get you a result. It's not, because you have 50,000 new cells of recognition every single second. Every single second. Like, that frightens me whenever you've allowed your head to go off thinking about this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh my goodness, what have I just created? Well, you're creating every single breath that you take in. So instead of talking about your problem, talk about, well, what do I want? Now, that's how Bob treats us. He will not let us talk for any length of time about our problems. He sort of gets the general idea and he just goes, well, what do you want? Because if you want what you've got, carry on talking about it. And reality is literally evidence of past thinking. So when people say to you, oh, but you've got to get real, you've got to get real. Well, no, that is literally evidence of your past thinking. If we were getting real all the time, then we would never have got a plane in the air. We would never have got the mobile phone. We would never have got lighting. We'd never have got the internet if people were thinking real, because it had never been done before. So how did they do it? Yeah, how did they get different results? Now remember, the results are causing your thinking. Just let me put in the speaker there. Results are causing your thinking. Or so just say, are your results causing your thinking? Or is your thinking causing your results? Yeah? Which one is that? Because certainly sorry, I'm just trying to move my cursor around here. It's disappeared. Nope, we don't want that either. This is how you try to figure things out. Put you on the side there. There we go. Back up again. This is whenever you just go, come on, Sheena. There you go, back again. So the results always tell the truth. Now, here's the thing that I learned was that if we are results led, so it's one thing to look at your results, but not pay too much attention. If you don't like them, then just change your thinking. That's what this whole thing's about, as to how do you change your thinking. But don't actually be results led. If you are always being results led, when you get something good, you're liable to go high. When you get something bad, you're liable to go low. So that's the law of polarity. If you go high, you will go low. So the idea in your life is to find something that you love doing. have an eye on the goal and know where it is that you're wanting to go, but be literally process driven, not results driven. Because if you always use the outside results as your indicator, that's why you go high, low, high, low, high, low. You know, like today, I'll just admit it. I had like a phenomenal day yesterday. And today I got stuck in traffic for 3 hours for an hour's journey. And by the time I got home, I was so exhausted and I just felt really naff. And I actually had a pity party all by my little self, you know, because I let the outside circumstances, you know, just affect my thinking instead of just going, get over yourself, love, you know, move on. So if you allow yourself to go high, you will go low at some stage. So it's always find what you love to do. That's one of the key things to do is every day. You cannot have a happy ending with an unhappy journey. It's got to be, you know, your happy ending is filled of happy moments as you go along. So here's a question for you. Have you ever noticed that when you've got a problem, you're always there? It's quite funny that, isn't it? You might want to write that down, because anytime that you go to point the finger at somebody, see this, when I point the finger, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. Now, you've probably seen that before, but it's worthwhile pointing out. See, look, 3 fingers pointing right back at me. And I'm not going to go in too deep to this, but everything outside you is a mirror, and you are 100% responsible for things that are happening that you are affected by. I'm going to leave that there, because that is a whole deeper conversation that may upset people and not upset people. It depends where you are in your level of awareness to be able to pick up that piece of information, but I'm saying it anyway. So what happened was, you know, Bob Proctor knew this information was out there. So Sandy Gallagher, who was literally billion-dollar lawyer, you know, literally dealing with billion-dollar deals, accompanied Bob Proctor. She said, everybody needs to know this stuff. And she put this program together. Now, let me tell you how important this stuff is. So she used to deal with all these banks and everything and give them all these complicated strategies. And one guy called her in for help. And she came over and she just went, here you go. Here's a gratitude journal. I want you to do gratitude every morning for the next week. And he's like, are you kidding me? He says, I'm looking for like a complicated strategy to do this, this, and this. And she said, what do you want? And then do a gratitude journal every day. At the end of that week, he got the result he wanted, because it's all about cooperation and not about competition. And that's one of the things that we need to pay attention to in this world. There's a whole, you know, where we've evolved from, all that science is now, there's not enough evidence to show where we've come from. And that created the competitive society. We are really working about, it's that connection and everybody actually working together. Just to give you know a couple of examples of success to show what's possible when you do this work, and it's so simple, yet it's probably the hardest thing you've ever done. Certainly for me. I just had a client actually today say, how can I stop this, this, and this from happening? And I'm going, listen, in the Science of Getting Rich, Steve Waddles actually says that this is so simple, but this is one of the hardest things that you will ever have to do. And I am that. You're like, you know, when things get in your head and you don't want them to be there, trying to control them is like trying to control a 2-year-old child. And believe me, you've let your brains just literally talk away, you know, and mental chatter and mental activity does not constitute thinking. So you'll know about that in a while. So here's an example of success where you've got Phil Goldfine. He's an Oscar and Emmy winner. He studies this material every day. You've got Peggy McCall, multi-millionaire authoress, studies this material every day. We all have our little goal cards with our goals behind them. Remember, I said there was lots of little secrets in this webinar, so you might want to be paying attention to the little things that I do as I go along. Another one is, and this girl is just totally amazing. She was a nurse. Her maximum earnings was 35K. She studied Bob's material. She chose a new business. She literally 300K in the first year, 600K in the second year, 1 million in the third. What is happening? So does this make you want to pay attention to what I'm going to tell you next? I hope it does. So changing your thinking isn't just about the money. You know, this is the happiness wheel. You'll have seen this before. And this is really like, you know, you can change your physical environment. You can create loving relationships. You can health and wellness. I've gifted this to a girl with cancer. And, you know, like 6 weeks later, there was a whole different output from using this material, you know, and that's not just, you know, like me giving a claim on anything, but if you go and read books like Joe Dispenza, and authors like that, you'll actually find out how you literally changing your thinking can change your health as well. So it's much more than, this is literally about happy, healthy, wealthy that we're talking about here. So what is it that, if everybody has the same training and development, but we don't all get the same results? Some people get results up there. Some people get results down here. And believe me, I was one of these people. It's literally, I remember in one of my jobs, I was working for a top pharmaceutical company, and I did what everybody told me to do, but I didn't get the results. Why was that? Because these people on this side had a really good story to tell about themselves. And me on this side, the paradigms, I'll explain paradigms in a minute, like viruses, doubts, insecurities in my head. So even though outwardly I was projecting a really good image, I would get 100% in my exams, I would get awesome roll calls, but something happened, something was missing, and I didn't know what that was. And basically, that's the paradigm. So what is a paradigm? A mental program that is almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. So just think about your day, what a day would look like to you, where you get up, do you do the same thing every morning? Do you go to the same desk every day? Do you come home, watch the same TV programs? What is your week looking like? Because I can tell you this, if you're not thinking and actually ask yourself, why am I drinking this? Why am I having a coffee? Why do I like what I like? Because that is literally, what is controlling you. And 95% of what you do is controlled by is controlled by your subconscious. And that's where our paradigms are hiding. We don't even know that they're there. So it's quite scary in one bit, but whenever you start to really study this material and you start to get some information through, you realize what's been controlling you, because we're not aware. Most of the time we're just literally aware of what's right in front of us, and we're not actually thinking about what we want. We're continually reacting. Now look at that word, reacting. Okay, so it's reacting. Chances are you're reacting something that maybe your parents did, or your great-great-granny that you've never even met before did. Yeah. So if you're not thinking as to why you do that, I always use this one, like if you were younger and you'd had a few drinks, because nobody would do it when they're older, obviously, but if you'd had a few drinks and then you actually said something and you woke up the next morning, you went, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Has anybody been there? I bet you have. Is that basically your conscious mind more or less went to sleep with the alcohol, and then your paradigm had free reign. It's like, whoa, I'm out here now. There's nothing stopping me now. You all know it. You've all been there. So why is the paradigm so important? And I'd like you to write this down, because this is your homework. I didn't tell you we're going to get homework, but if you do it, trust me, it's going to help you. Your paradigm will affect your perception. So your perception is, so say we're looking at a big figure 6 on the ground, except you're on one side and I'm on the other, and I see a 6, but you see a 9. Okay, so it could be raining, and we're both having a conversation in the rain, but I see the sunshine over there and you see rain behind me. So perception, your paradigm is literally controlling that. And if you try to reason with your perception, you're just reasoning within your paradigm. It can control your use of time. The way you can think, like in the Outwitting the Devil, it says about drifting, that we go to do something, oh, but then we'll put on some washing. Or we go to phone somebody, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. Why do you keep putting things off? So your paradigm will stop you from doing things. Your creativity, your effectiveness, your productivity. And the biggest one here is your logic. Okay, so this is where, if successful people or people who get what they want do things that are illogical, because if you stay with your logic, you are in your paradigm. So everybody's running around looking for comfort. Oh, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel logical to me. Yes, exactly. Don't want it to feel logical. If you want to grow, you're going to have to start to do things that are illogical. And yes, that feels uncomfortable, but that is growth. Whoever said that growth was comfortable? Okay, so, but we're so busy. Like, I'm really feeling the cold at the minute because I'm not dealing with horses. And I am just like, I was so weathered. I would be out there in all weathers, and I am like going, oh my goodness, I have turned into such a wimp. I literally don't like the cold at all now. But yeah, I used to be out in all sorts of weather. So it'd be illogical for me to go outside when it's cold without a coat. But I used to do it. No gloves, everything, in the rain, wind, rain, and everything. So I hope you've written those down, because it is all of these that are being controlled by your paradigm. And you might want to just take one a week and sort of think about, well, what is my perception around this? You know, then how do I use my time? Am I being creative, or am I just regurgitating the same stuff? Like, if we've got 50,000, well, actually we've got 60,000 thoughts a day. So like, were your 60,000 thoughts any different today than they were yesterday? Were they any different than when they were like last week, last year, 10 years ago? Are your thoughts any different, or are you still regurgitating the same things, thinking that you're thinking? Because you're not. There you go. So what happened, you know, basically as an infant, so be careful what you say around young children, because they have got no conscious development, and it is literally going through into their subconscious mind, and they're being programmed. Now you're being programmed from your great auntie or whatever, and but you've never met them, so you could have programming that you don't even know anything about. Then whenever you're in your mother's womb, you're being programmed there by all the things that she's going through. Like, she didn't know what she was doing either. I'm just checking on the comments here because I'm seeing some comments. Oh, no, chat for, let me just double check this. Yeah. Super. I just wanted to make sure nobody was like hanging off the end of the webinar or whatever like that. So, you know, it's what I was going to say. Yeah, so be careful what you're saying around children, because, you know, you've even programmed yourself with all the self-talk that you've done. And, you know, we literally have all the information coming into our heads and we reason with it, but we're actually tend to be reasoning with our paradigm. Yeah. So be careful whenever, you know, you think you're right, but so's everybody else. I used to say to my daughter, because it was her father didn't like this. He said to her one time, you think the world revolves around you? And she actually says, well, actually, Mummy says that the universe revolves around me. Because you're the center of your universe. And as far as you're concerned, your world is right. But then so is the person beside you as well. So normally whenever I say to people, it's just like, don't believe a word I say. But if it resonates with you and you sort of know it's true, but you can't get your ideas around it. Now, if you completely chuck out what I've said, you might want to think, was that my paradigm throwing that out? Was that my programming throwing that out? Or is it something I need to hear? Because normally whenever I don't want to read something or study something, that's normally my paradigm holding on to me and going, you don't need to see that. So if I get that with a piece of, you know, information, what I do is I just read it more. Unless obviously it's something negative, then I'm not paying attention in any shape or form whatsoever. So schools gave us valuable knowledge. Yeah, and we're feeding our 2%. So, you know, 95 to 98% of what you're doing is literally subconscious. And it literally is 2%, 2 to 5% is what we stuff into our heads, where we literally regurgitate. So what was the thing that we did whenever we were kids, we were allowed to do? I mean, we were allowed to imagine. So I don't know about you, but I used to literally use my window in my bedroom as a blackboard. And I used to write on there with chalk, and I used to teach Cindy, Pippa, and my horse, which he wasn't a real horse, obviously, it was a plastic horse. And I've still got him, by the way, 40 years later. And I used to teach them. I was off in my imagination somewhere. My conscious mind hadn't really kicked in as though, what the heck are you doing? The other thing is, what I was taught to over and over and over again was whenever I was 10, I was Irish dancing champion in Northern Ireland. So, but I don't remember getting there. I literally, you know, the only time that I remember doing Irish dancing, oh, and here comes the cat, thank you very much, Irish dancing on the stage was when I forgot my steps. And I stood on the stage, and I obviously became consciously aware of what was going on. Before that, I was programmed to dance. And then as soon as I became consciously aware, I sort of looked around at the audience and thought, what the heck am I doing here? So maybe you might see that in your own life, where you just sort of go, well, what the heck am I doing? Why did I choose this job? Why am I with this person? I don't want you to believe in relationships or anything, but you know what I mean? It's just sometimes you just wake up and go, why am I doing this? So I just thought I'd pass that in there. So I said about, you know, like when you were younger, you had your imagination. But then when we went to school, we got stopped imagining, didn't we? You weren't allowed to look out the window. You had to learn, regurgitate. And we stopped our creativity side then. And we practiced on logic. Well, there's a whole right side to the brain as well. A whole right side that is just crying out to be used. So there's only two known ways to change a paradigm. One is constant spaced repetition of ideas. So you got your ideas in the first place and beliefs. Literally, they were thoughts that became ideas, that were beliefs, and they're literally programmed inside you over and over and over and over again. So that's how you get rid of them. When you find something that is a paradigm, like I'm not worthy, then what you want to be doing is writing out 100 times, I am worthy. You've got to write the polar opposite. Remember I said before, that if you go high, you go low. What if there's a right, there's a, you know what I mean, which way it is. There's a right, there's a left, okay? So it literally, if you find what your paradigm is, you need to write it out until it literally disappears. Now, let me tell you about how I did this. Was I wrote out an article called Serenity, and I wrote it out for 90 days. And then not long after that, I was literally hit by an articulated lorry on the motorway. And you know what? I just got out. I was so calm. I got out of that car. I was thinking, I wish there was a policeman here who could have seen all that. Do you know what? I got out the car and there was a police car parked right behind me. And wow, yeah, I was just so calm. And that article was Serenity. If you want that article, just, message me and I'll send that to you. But are you willing to write that out for 90 days to get that sort of subconscious behavior? Like whenever you drive a car, when you first learned how to drive it, you had to go A, B, C, D, E. Oh my God, I have to look at the same time. It was all clunky, but now I bet you could literally drive home and not even know how you got home. Well, that was your subconscious. The other way of changing a paradigm is an emotional impact, which tends to be negative, but I do know of emotional impacts that have been positive, and that can happen through some NLP techniques. But one guy actually had a friend die from smoking-related disease. And literally that night he didn't sleep a wink and he stopped smoking the next day. So that was an experience of emotional impact. But you can't just sort of create them, so you're going to have to just do the work. So if you don't like that idea, that's how it's going to change a paradigm. Okay. And that's what's brilliant about this program, because we hold on to you for 6 months helping you change your paradigms, because I know fine rightly that you're not going to do it on your own. You're absolutely not. I tried to. For over 10 years, I got so many different qualifications, master this, master that, not even going to bother telling you, 700 books later, and still 2 years ago, I managed to nearly go bankrupt and lose everything. Why was that? Because I didn't change the paradigm. I was a flipping know-it-all. I knew it all up here, but the results weren't showing, what I wanted. So if you've got that in your life and you're not getting the results, you got to change your paradigm. And here's the thing, as Bob says, you can't do it on your own. You can try, but I'll see you 6 months later, and then maybe 6 months later after that, because so far nobody that I've spoken to has changed the paradigm any other way except for repetition. So another way to describe a paradigm is, do you ever feel like this is the way you are? Like you're engaged at the front here, yeah? But then you're like pulling along and it feels like flipping pulling along such a load, and you've got this person sitting here who couldn't care less what's going on, and then you've got this person, you can't even see this person. Okay, well hello, Mr. and Mrs. Paradigm. They're holding you back and you can't even see it, and you learn more, and then you wonder why sometimes you don't even move. Okay, now where this information here comes from, this is actually to do with, I'm a Gallup certified strength coach as well. And what this is whenever you're looking at employees, if you've got people who are you're engaged, who are not engaged, and who are actively disengaged. So let me tell you this little story. So this is us on the front. This was me, Miss Positivity, #1, Gallup Strength, Miss Positivity, building, doing all this along here. And here's your first set of paradigms here who go either way. Well, sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad. And so the show goes on and it gets quite boring, doesn't it? But here's the thing. So what this work does, and working on your paradigms, is it uncovers this one here. This is the actively disengaged. These are the really deep programming, the deep beliefs that you've got. And let me tell you, I am not literally going light on this for any reason at all, because this is what I found. I had one of these paradigms hang on to me for 5 weeks. And I actually thought I was going to need to have tablets because it did not want to let go. It was so deeply rooted. And still now today, it's still trying to get through, but I know how to deal with it. And that's what we teach you. So throughout, doing this repetitive behavior and understanding your paradigms, is you start to literally understand and start to break through. Now, what you'll get in normal coaching, and I'm not knocking normal coaching, but I won't do it anymore. I will not just coach people, because what I see is all it did for me was give me a plaster. It works for some people. Some people are really good at accepting ideas and off they go. That's fine. I'm talking about me. And so this is like putting a plaster, because sometimes these people move over to the positive bit, and you get about, it's like relationships, you get about 3 months that are really good, and then it goes right back to here again. And all you do is literally put a plaster on, and you get some positives, so you think it's worked. I had a girl who literally did thinking into results, and she got phenomenal results for the first 6 weeks. Then she left the program. Now, I spoke to her last week, and I said, what results are you getting now? And she said, not very good. And she says, I'm doing another coaching program though. And I said, well, what was it that you can't see the difference? So when you were doing thinking into results, you doubled your sales, and you went like that. Then you stop doing it and you plateau, and you still get similar results, but you will come down, because these little pesky little Mr. and Mrs. Paradigm here, they're going to get you. They are like a leaky hole in your boat. So no matter how fast you pedal, how hard you work, if you've got a leak in your boat, you're freaking going nowhere. And like me, you might sink. And I don't want anybody to do that anymore. So I'm just letting you know, Mr. and Mrs. Paradigm are there waiting to get hold of you. And they're in your subconscious. You don't even know what they are. So they did an MRI scan where they put a guy in a scanner, and they had somebody here, looking at the results. And what they did was, he said he could literally press his button right or left anytime. It didn't really matter. And the guy here was looking at the results. So the guy who saw the results knew what the guy was going to do 6 seconds before he pressed the button. 6 seconds. Your subconscious has already made a decision in your head, and you thought it was your decision. So if you've ever wanted to do something before and you've decided not to, well, guess what that was? That was your little paradigm holding you right in place. Okay, even another example, we had a girl on a call tonight, and she wanted to, should I go full-time coaching, or should I, stay in my job? So she'd made the decision to go full-time coaching. Guess what happened in her job? They offered her a promotion. So now all of a sudden, her paradigm's going, well, do you really want to go full-time? Do you really want to go full-time coaching? Do you really want to? Because look at this opportunity. But if you actually sit and think about it and go, well, how do I feel about running my own business and being really successful? Or was it the fear that was stopping you from actually doing that? Because if you actually weighed these up, and if you were successful here, you'd actually want to do this business and not be held in a job. But you can see how the paradigm can throw up different things. Normally it's nastier than that. That was a good one. But there are ways there just to hold you back. So I hope you understood that one. So there's so many times we're in the right place at the right time. But here's the thing. We've got our blinkers on. We've got our boxes in. And can you see, just even from this picture here, how if you're having a conversation with somebody, how you think you're right, but they think they're right? Have you ever had an argument where you both think that you're right? I bet you have. Because here's the thing, you both are right in your worlds. Yeah. And if there's one thing that I've learned is, like, if somebody wants to be right with me, I just let them be right, because I'm not really bothered, because they are right. But it's just, we actually sacrifice happiness for being right, don't we? Well, I don't want to sacrifice my happiness. It took me that long to get it and keep it, because I didn't understand that I had this undercurrent here running along whenever I miss positivity, and everybody telling me, oh my God, I love your attitude. You're so positive. I did not know this was going on in my background until my life became so quiet. Because here's what we do. We fill it with being busy. We fill it with watching television. We fill it with a glass of alcohol. We fill it with a cigarette. I used to suck my thumb. I'm going to let you know that on national television. I used to suck my thumb. I even filled whatever time it was to find comfort, instead of really, truly understanding me and what it was that drove me forward and what it was that held me back. And cannot stress that point enough. So we think in secret and it comes to pass environment is but our looking glass. You might want to write that down. I'm just going to have a little drink while you do that. Let me know if this is okay for you guys, because I haven't got you on view here. So I'll have a look at some of the comments here and see what people are saying again. Yeah. Super, 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 super. Yes, I will be providing the recording, Ron. Super duper. The weirder the thing, the better. Love it, Matty. Super, super. Oh, who did that? Didn't mean it to go so big. Right. Okay, so we think in secret and it comes to pass. Environment is our butter looking glass. That's a big, big thing to know. I haven't got time to explain that. But here's the thing about the thinker and the prover, which might give you an idea. So you know the way you think you are something and you actually go and make it happen. So just an example, and this is not a medical condition that you're inherited with. So my nanny actually died of a broken hip when she was 76. So my mum, really, by the time she got to her 70s, all she was saying was, you know, I don't want to fall, I don't want to fall, I don't want to fall. Oh my God, I'm going to fall. Okay, so this went on, and at 76, she fell. She didn't break her hip. She broke her shoulder. So she's in hospital. She decided it was a good idea to get out of bed, so she fell again and broke her shoulder again. Then she decided that that wasn't enough, that she would get out of bed again, and she broke her hip. Now at 76, she did exactly what she thought would happen. Now that's not even just the most like amazing part here. So like broken hips do not run in the family. Not like diabetes, but people say that, don't they? Oh, that they've got diabetes, so I'm going to get diabetes, or they get flu, or I get flu every November. It's amazing what we talk ourselves into. But then 9 months later, right, my auntie Sheila, who then became 76, guess what she did? She fell and she broke her hip. Now, don't tell me that that's coincidence. You know, like basically they thought something and they proved it. Okay, so that's just to show, you know, like what have you thought? So this is your homework again. What have you been thinking and proving in your life? What are you locked onto that you go, I'm right, and trying to put somebody else making them wrong? You know, what are you always right about? Who do we argue? Who do you argue with the most, actually? That's quite an interesting one. You'll find out a lot about yourself whenever you find that person who irritates you more than anybody is telling you the most about yourself. So remember, environment is your looking glass. Okay, so you can't change things by fighting this existing reality. To change something, you need to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So let me read that again. Never change things by fighting the existing reality. And how many times do we do that? And I did that whenever I, you know, lost everything. I fought that because my ego and my self-image did not take this lightly at all. And I fought it for about a year, a big serious fight. And guess what? Nothing changed. Okay. So you've got to build a new model, something completely different. So why do we need to do that? So imagine you're at the Shard. Okay. So here's if anybody's not from the UK, this is the Shard, the tallest building in the UK. And on the ground floor, you know, you don't really see much. You just see people. Everybody's there. You can't see anything. If you wanted to find a solution to anything, or, you know, tell me about London, you know, well, how are you going to find anything out down there? You have to go to the top. Then you can find out about London, can't you? And you can see where you want to go. You just need to point and whatever, and you'll actually see people, you know, see whatever it is that you want to go to. You know, even if you go to the 10th floor, you can start to see a little bit, but just not quite as much as if you'd gone to the top floor. I hope that resonates with you. So it's about having clearer thinking. There's not as many people at the top, and the air's fresher up there, and you can see everything. Okay. Then rather than being down here, trying to think of your problems down here in the midst of your problems, you're not going to get the answer whenever you're in the same, because your same thinking has a certain vibration around it, which is generally negative. Okay. So you want to be going up to the top. So something else you might want to pay attention to, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Everything is created twice. So how did we create anything? How did we create a plane going in the air? A car basically with wings going in the air? They saw it. So how did we create the phones? Somebody saw it. They use their imagination. Yeah, so Van Gogh says, you know, I dream my painting, then I paint my dream. Okay, so I'm going to say that again because it's really powerful. I paint, I dream my painting, then I paint my dream. So what's going on in your head? What are you creating? What's going on in your imagination? You know, I actually heard that imagination was the eye of God, the eye of the universe, the eye of source energy, the I am. Interesting. I'll leave that one with you. So how are we going to change this? And I'm not going to go through all the information on this actually, because I'm just looking at the time and time goes on faster than I think. So I want to give you time for questions and answers. But you want to be setting a goal that is something that you've never, ever done before. Okay. So not something that you think you can do, but something that you've never done before. Something that scares you and excites you at the same time is what we're looking for. So Bob always refers to 3 types of goals, A, B, and C. So your A type goal is something you already know. Now that's whatever, like you've had a new car, so you're going to get another new car. Okay, big deal. You haven't actually grown. You know how to get a new car. And that's where people tend to do their SMART objectives. And don't SMART objectives just motivate you? Aren't they so exciting? Like, yes, SMART objectives always motivated me. That's why I never reached them whenever I was working for a pharmaceutical company. It was just like, kill me, shoot me, stab me now, you know, you're boring me. Okay. But then they come in with the idea of, we'll have B type goals. So this is what I think I can do. And they call these stretch goals. Oh my goodness. So we're stretching ourselves now. That just literally made it feel like so much hard work. You know, and Steve Jobs, and what we're trying to do when we do stretch goals is it's like we're connecting the dots, we're planning. I need to know how to do it. But here's the thing, we don't want to do that. Steve Jobs says you can only connect the dots going back. You shouldn't be connecting them going forward. Otherwise, you're just doing the same thing. Okay, you're just messing around with reality. And what is reality? What's already been created. So you're not growing. You're just making life hard for yourself with your stretch goal. So what do we want? We want fantasy, the C-type goal. So I'm part of Bob Proctor's C-type goal because Bob had this vision of having consultants, literally his business, the whole way around the world globally. And he's now got 450 of us, literally globally. You know, that's just amazing. So I am part of Bob's C-type goal. I actually have a cat trying to damage my background anyway. So, you know, what is a C-type goal? It really is a fantasy, a total fantasy, something that you absolutely, but you really, really want. What dreams have you put on the shelf? You know, what dreams did you think whenever you were younger that you would love to do, or in your 20s you thought where you could do absolutely anything? You know, what has you put on the shelf? Please understand that you can get that. You literally can get anything that you want, okay? So imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. Let me say that again. Imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. You might want to write that down. Okay, so where are we going here with this? So you've got a fantasy, we've got theory, and then we've got the fact. So the fantasy, the only difference between it being a fantasy and a theory is, are you able? Well, of course you're able. You're able to do anything that you want, whether you think it or not. You are able. We've all got the same brain capacity, and unless there's, you know, dealing with other medical issues, whatever. But here's the biggest one, and here's another key word: the will. Not willpower, but the will. The will to do whatever it takes, the will to sacrifice whatever it takes to get your goal to fruition. Now, let me give you my example of myself. So fantasy, whenever I did this program, and within the first 3 weeks, I'd actually pulled in 40 grand's worth of business, and I'd had nothing all year. Trust me, I've done every course and read every book, and I still study to this day. It's like I can't stop the knowledge from coming through. So then, you know, I was like, wow, I've got to go and work with Bob. Everybody needs to know this. So what I did was I used that money and I literally went straight to Bob Proctor's team, boom, in as a consultant. And I thought, this is exactly what I've been looking for. It's like 12 modules of highly directed, focused information, which is why it gets results. So I literally got started on that program. But what I did was because I knew then the world is my oyster. My goodness, I'd never had that before. So what I decided to do was to go around and look at all these £1 million houses. So 1.8 million, 2.5 million, 3.5 million. If you've never done it before, go for a day out. It's absolutely great. It's great fun. So the one I actually liked the most was the best layout was actually 1.8 million. So whenever I had my first mentoring with Bob, what happened was he said this, and this, and that should get, you could actually work out 1.8 million. Now, he did not know my number. He did not know my number. That was my number, 1.8 million. Now, here's the thing. It wasn't for the 1.8 million. It was for the house and what the house represented as for a business opportunity. And there's a whole, I'm not going to go into it, but there's a whole other legacy behind that house. It's not just about having a house. There's a whole legacy behind where I'm going with that. But he did not know that number. So what happened was my fantasy went to theory. In that moment, within a month, my fantasy went to theory. Now, here's the thing. If I ask you about, like a goal that you've never reached before. So say I said to you, 1.8 million, because you've no clue how to do it, it's lighter. You can play with it 1.8 million in your head, can't you? You can literally, oh yeah. I mean, somebody's just won 170 million. I mean, imagine playing with that in your head. But then imagine playing with 50,000 or trying to get to 50,000 or trying to get to 100,000. You're too busy trying to work it out, which is what holds you back. Yeah, because your paradigm's having a conversation with you and you're on the ground floor of the shard. You're still trying to figure it out all down there. Whereas, you know what? See the person, 170 million, they're up there. They're in the clouds. They're having the time of their life. So the higher, the better, because it's not the money. It's the feeling that you want. Let me tell you that again. It's the feeling that you want. What do you feel when you raise yourself so high that you get that feeling? Okay, that's what we're looking for. And then it's up to you to work it into a fact. How can I make this happen? Okay, but there's a lot more to it than that, but that's just giving you something. I want you to dream for now, literally dream if that's all you get from this program. So we think on frequencies. So just like if you want to phone me, you need my number. Okay, so you know what a frequency is. Let me call it energy. So we could be literally, when somebody walks in their room and they're a mood hoover and all the energy goes out with them, doesn't it? Or generally, whenever I walk into a room, I'm like, woohoo, like that. I do switch it off sometimes and I sneak in, try and hide. But most of the time, you'll see me coming in because I just want to give energy and I just want to share energy and just have fun and talk to whoever's around, whoever wants to be talked to. So that's like a frequency level. Yes, remember, it's like the ground floor of the shard might feel a little bit heavy. But when you're at the top floor, as light as a feather up there because there's hardly anybody up there. So we think on frequencies, and it's really important to remember that because our results are on those frequency. So when you think of the same result, and then you try and work out the solution from that area, you end up on the same frequency. You cannot get any more information than that. And you see, our bodies, right? So our senses are like, we don't hold information in our bodies. Again, that might be over your head. That's for a whole other webinar. But we're like little antennas. Our nerve endings are little antennae picking up on information. We're like radio stations. If I wanted Rock FM, I wouldn't be tuning into Classic FM and then beating the radio station up for not getting there, would I? But that's what we do to ourselves. You didn't get the results you wanted, so I'm going to beat me up in my own head. No, you need to tune it in. And that's what we are. We are tuning devices. We tune ourselves in, and this antenna is what we use to tune ourselves in with. And then we'll get our results. But if we think along the same lines of where we got our results from, we're on the ground floor of the shard, we're going to keep getting the same results. So when we think of our goal and we raise our vibration, we raise our energy because it feels lighter up there, like on 1.8 million, feels light. Has no clue how that's going to happen. Absolutely no clue how that's going to happen. But we need to make a decision to get there. You need to make a decision. So tell me, I do make a decision, Sheena. I do. But then what do? You think from down there. Yeah? Let me show you that again. We make a decision, so we go up there, and if you've been up there and you've seen it, take this from me as just accept what I'm telling you in this webinar. If you can accept it, you will get results like that. But most of us need to go and argue it like I did for all these years, needed to argue it and find it all out. So just accept the idea that if you've been seeing something up here, it is yours. It is yours. It is given to you. Now, I had a girl whose literally ideas are floating around the ether all the time. And I had a girl who literally, she knew she wanted to write a book. She had the front cover done. She had all the chapters done, but she didn't write it. 3 years later, she went to a networking seminar, and guess a girl she met? A girl who'd written a book, same title, same cover, same chapter headings. Okay? So if you've got an idea, do it now, because guaranteed you, somebody else will get that idea. The ideas are looking for leaders, and they're looking for people to run with it. And, you know, if you think from down here, you're just going to get the same results as you always know. That's what this is. This is the paradigm shift. This is totally the paradigm shift that needs to happen. And like I say, the only way that I've ever seen this happen is through this program, Thinking into Results. Normal coaching did not do it for me. Qualifications did not do it for me. Reading books every day did not do it for me. Listening to YouTube did not do it every day for me. Okay, I'm just telling you my experience. You may be different, but that is my experience. How you make the decision different is you make a committed decision. Now, what's a committed decision? It's going out and shutting the door and throwing away the key. Burning the bridges, not going back. You know, we had one of our consultants who was a consultant, a doctor, and he made the committed decision that in 3 months he was leaving his job and he was going to literally be in the circle with Bob Proctor as a fully fledged, you know, PGI consultant with Bob. And he did it. He made the commitment because he actually handed in his notice that day. That's a committed decision. Doing something, saying it, and moving forward, taking action. You know, if you're at McDonald's and you go and order something, you know, at the drive-through, and you're there with your first decision thing, you know, sometimes you don't even know what you want. But if you stayed there for too long, you'd be having some angry people behind you, wouldn't you? You know, so your committed decision is, yeah, that's what I want. And you move forward. You still have to take action. Now, here's the thing. You didn't have to run in and get everybody else moving on in there, did you? No, you just have to go and accept the decision by paying for it. You know, some people want to go in and then they change their mind and then they're, where do the burgers come from? Let me cook it myself. I need to do all that stuff. No, because then the next action was you expected it to be there at the next window. So what was that I just said there? It was decide, accept, and expect. Okay, there's lots of golden nuggets in this, guys. I hope you're writing them down. Even if it's just one word at a time that you're writing down, there are so many golden nuggets that you've actually got in here. So remember, why do we need to go high? I think you know this answer yourself, because you cannot solve the problem with the same thinking that got you. If you're on the ground floor and you still hang around with the ground floor people and ask ground floor people the answers, and even yourself, you're still going to get the same results. You need to go to the top floor. You need to rest. Take it easy, breathe, and think about what you want. And think from that space. So if you were a $1.8 million earner, how would you think about your present money problems? You'd laugh at them, unless you're obviously 1.8 million in debt, which I hope nobody is on this call anyway. The last thing here is, you know, like, if you want to do that goal, you've got to be the image of the person you want to be. How does the 1.8 million person turn up? How do they show up? How do they act? What are their standards? Yeah, that's a whole lesson all on its own. So that's your homework, okay? So your vision, up there, vision, remember your C-type goal, the vision of your life, because out of the vision of your life will come your purpose, and it will also come your self-image, and also the goals that you want to do to achieve your vision. But your vision is the most important thing that we need to work on here. So here's the thing. You can either make excuses or you can get results. What is 2020 going to be for you? What was 2019? How many times did you go, not now, later, oh yeah, maybe whenever this happens, or yeah, soon. Yeah, I've had that from so many people this year. And guess what? They're in the same position. I don't want that for you, for the people who've made the effort to come on, because there were about 50 people registered on this webinar. And who bothered to turn up? 17 of you, which means you want to do something about your life, okay? So fear stops a lot of people. Fear of failure, fear of risk, you know, and that masks itself as procrastination. Okay, so let me just check the comments here. Do we say here before I go on anymore? Levitina makes so much sense. Yeah, is Bob or Sandy coming on as a special guest? I'm sorry, I couldn't get Bob to come on there. Couldn't get Bob to come on. So what I want from you is, I'm going to send you a decision-making article. So get your phones out now and text decision to this number. So if you're out of the country, it's 0044. If you're in the country, it's just the number there. So 07494 592 046. I expect to see 17 texts, okay? And then I will actually send you the decision-making article. And that decision-making article will really help you see how to make a decision and how easy it is. So let me go back up to this one, okay? So how easy it is that you make a decision there, but then you end up going here. This is the article that is the crucial bit in here that will help you. Now, here's the thing, your homework is that you need to read it. Whoops, I need to put that slide back up again, don't I? So you know the number. You need to read it every day for 30 days. Who's going to commit to doing that? So I'm going to stop this recording in a minute, and so we can have a little chat. So, and you can ask me questions. But what I offer from this webinar is that every single person who's come on here, I'm offering you all a one-to-one with me. Okay, now it's a 15-minute targeted session. And just from that, I'm going to help you with your vision and help you set your goals for 2020. Again, it only 15 minutes. Now, here's the thing. If you want to work with me, then we'll have another call after that. But initially, it is just literally to help you get moving forward for 2020, to make it flip in, get your 2020 vision correct, and literally, you know, make this work. So I hope you've all written down that number. If you haven't, write it down now. So text decision on 0044 7494 592 046. So I'll stop the recording now. Let's go. So pause, stop recording.